It's Monday and time for another Monday guide, and today we're gonna look into improved worker conditions. The decision everyone is thinking about, should I press it or shouldn't I? It gives you more stability, which is extremely important, but also costs you consumer goods factories factor and factory output for 180 days. And of course the 100 political points to actually press the decision. But in the meantime, stability is extremely important. And I have run this through my economy simulator, which I have built outside the game. It works perfectly for every multiplayer game, down to almost the last infantry weapon. So I have tested this with two different scenarios to see how much production output do you get from improved worker conditions. So let's just describe the spreadsheet for 1 second here. We have a starting nation with 25% stability. We use no improved worker condition. And this is what their military factors can push out until these certain dates. September 39, June 41, which is Barbarossa. This is the Danzig War date. And late game January in 43. So the factories, military factories, can push out 94,000 in production points in output to build by construct your tanks, infantry weapons, airplanes, and so forth. And this is the comparison. If you use improved worker conditions early in the game, you get 10% extra output of all your factories, of production output to that date. So if you could build 1,000 infantry weapons without improved worker condition, you will be able to build 1,100 if you use improved worker conditions by this early date. And the difference isn't that much later on, because if this kicks in early, it's still kicking in late game. And the same thing is with improved worker conditions January of 37. You still get much more. You get 7.5% extra, 9 and 9% the other dates. But this is really, really important. With 100 political power, you can push out 10% extra military factory output. So like getting 10% extra military factories without paying the tax of consumer good factories. So really, really good. If you have low stability and no other way of gaining 100% stability, push it up with improved worker conditions. This is really important. It will give you a huge benefit. 10% extra from just one focus is amazing. And this is taking into account that you pay extra consumer good factories. You have your factory output declining by 10% for the half year, and that the stability is ticking up. Everything is into the spreadsheet, gaining this results. So with low stability, and remember that if you have stability below 50%, it gives you huge debuffs. So you get minus 50% in factory output if you have 0 stability, and just plus 20% at 100 stability. So if you're under 50, it's much more powerful. And we can see that going into the other part of the stability comparison. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe to the channel. It will make me and Bagger extremely happy. And we release one new Monday guide every Monday. If you want even more stuff, just become a patron and you get an extra guide every second Thursday. And you get even more exclusive stuff, things, and the Discord and a lot of stuff. So yeah, check out our Patreon if you want even more stuff. And we will get back to the guide. Now you can see the results. Here we go. It's the same thing here, but we started with 50% stability. So we don't have that huge malus for being under 50% stability. And still, it gives you more. So going in here, if you take improved worker conditions, early on, you get 7%, almost 8% extra in military production output, and you get 14% extra by the late game. And this is because you start getting less consumer good factories factor when you get over 50%. So you might think that these results should be less good than this result, but this comes from being able to build more, because consumer goods factories factor are lower when you get over 50%, and this is calculated in here. So even if you go 37, you still gain not as much as in the first results, but you gain 5%, 10%, and 12% extra So this is really, really worth it when going into this game. Stability is key. So if you can't, as I said with 25%, if you can't get to 100% in any other way, I would say improved worker conditions is an absolute no-brainer. It has an alternative cost, absolutely, because you use 100 of your political power. That's why you might not be wanting to do this as early as possible. You might be forced to wait because you need something else. You can gain military experience or other benefits. You can gain stability other ways also with like what do you call them, like an advisor. So there's things that could be more important, but if you should use this as early as possible, because that gives you the benefits as early as possible. And you also have the possibility to do this multiple times, because you want stability to be 100% all the time, because those buffs are amazing. And talking about political power, I made a little spreadsheet about, not a spreadsheet, but notes at least. So if you have stability under 50%, you gain 16 extra stability with improved worker conditions, which equals 0.12 political power per day. It's twice as effective if you're under 100%, because the debuffs are twice as strong as the buffs over 50% here. So to regain 100 political power takes you 2 years and 3 months. It's a lot, but not too much. Especially if you take this early on, you will regain these 100 political power and you will start gaining more all the game after that. And you can use it to but take your generals and everything that you need. Not generals, headquarter guys. To make sure that you have all the buffs you need when the war starts. If you're over 50% stability, 16 extra stability only gives you 0.06 political power per day, which is much lower. So it takes you 4.5 years to regain the political power, which is way too long. It's not bad, you still gain it, but it's not enough to really be worth it, to my mind. But still, you have the benefits here from actually gaining a lot extra percentage of production output. So the political power thing is just a bonus. You gain the military industrial capacity that you need to actually win the game. So the conclusion is that stability is great and improved worker condition is absolutely worth it and a way to get to 100% stability. And if you start with negative stability, improved worker conditions should be a priority to get to that first 50%, because these malices minus 22% in production output, factory output, is horrible. And you need to get to the first up to 50% to get rid of the malices, but you always want to get up to 100%. And the earlier you take improved worker conditions, the earlier you can do it once more if necessary, because it takes 540 days is the cooldown. So 1.5 years from you click the decision, it will be able to be clicked again, so you can use it multiple times, and you get 16% stability each time. So 2 times is 36% stability, which is huge. And I've been thinking about what I was talking about, like having Mikhail Kalinin gaining 15% stability once compared to improved worker conditions. And I'm not really sure which I would choose. Improved worker conditions gives you it earlier because you need to wait for like 50 more days, depending on the pace of your political power income. So a little bit depending, I might go for improved worker conditions as soon as possible, just to be able to do it again and start getting the ticks up and have the malices as early as possible and not gaining that minus 10% factory output later in the game. So clicking that early and getting like a stability dude later on. The big positive with the stability advisor is that you get it straight away. You don't need to wait 180 days, half a year to get it. And I think that's it. That's improved worker conditions. I've been thinking about this guide for a long time, so I'm really happy I did it, and I'm really happy to have interesting results to show you guys. Next week it's gonna be a vodcast again. The subject is economy. Yeah, the subject is economy, so stay tuned for that. It's interesting. It's not Navy this time, so I'm pleased to say that. What's coming up next? I don't really know what Barrier is going to make, which kind of guide, but we have some podcasts planned at least. So yeah, stay tuned. Every Monday we release a new guide or podcast guide to you guys. And yeah, I think I'm done with that. See you guys next time.